Hi everyone. We're just about to finish chapter 11 and read chapter 12. So if you remember, we left off with the code. We don't know what the code means. The short break proved to be a good thing. It allowed Pep to take a fresh look at the cipher. Now she was seeing hidden words such as core, tan, heat, and tea, but she still couldn't put them together into a coherent sentence. Cope leaned over his sister's shoulder to check her progress. Maybe the spaces between the words are just decoys, Pep thought as she took a piece of paper and pencil out of her backpack. The spaces may have been inserted within the letters to make it harder to decipher the message. She rewrote the message, closing up the spaces. It didn't make it any clearer. Maybe it's in another language, Coke whispered. It looks like it might be Hawaiian or something. Or it could be a transposition cipher, Pet mumbled to herself. She wrote out the cipher again, but this time in reverse order. I will meet you in the house on the rock. There must be a mistake in there somewhere, Coke whispered. No, Pep said. Wait a minute. It must have nulls in it. Nulls? Coke asked. What's a null? A fake letter, she told him. A letter that doesn't mean anything. How do you know this stuff? I just do, she replied. I'll take out all of the A's and see what happens. Pep rewrote the message. I will meet you in the house on the rock. Chapter 12. Ups and Downs. I will meet you on the house on the rock. What the heck was that supposed to mean? Pep looked at the words she had written. I've never heard of a house on a rock, she whispered to her brother. There are probably thousands of houses that are built on rocks, Coke replied. Maybe it's another secret message that means something completely different. These Genius File people are so annoying, Pep complained. Why don't they just tell us what's going on? Why do you have to make us figure it out? The message didn't necessarily come from them, Coke said. It could have come from anybody. Then who are we supposed to meet in the house on the rock? Pep asked, knowing she wasn't going to get an answer. And when? This message doesn't tell us anything. We'll have to just keep our eyes open, Coke said, ending the discussion. Dr. McDonald hopped on Route 101 north through the city and picked up on Interstate 80 east of as the RV crossed over the San Francisco Oakland Bay Bridge. They were on their way now. If they wanted to, they could just stay on I-80 all the way across the country. Just 1,547 miles until we get to the largest ball of twine in the world, Mrs. McDonald said excitedly after punching the data into her laptop, and 2,762 miles to Washington. Pep did a quick mental calculation. If they averaged 65 miles per hour, it would take them more than 42 hours to drive to Washington. That would be without stopping, of course. Once you add in sleeping, eating, stopping for gas, and just getting out to stretch their legs, it would be closer to. She didn't want to think about it. And then, after they got to Washington and went to the wedding, they would have to drive the whole way back home, too. It was going to be a long summer. Pep already was bored, and the trip had just begun. Pope turned on his iPod and lost in the music. He mindlessly shuffled a deck of playing cards Bones had given them. The McDonalds were cruising along I-80 for a little more than 50 miles when they started to see signs for Leisure Town and Nut Tree Airport. Dr. McDonald pulled off to Interstate 505 North. Where are you going, Dad? Coke asked. Why did you get off I-80? Ask your mother, Dr. McDonald grumbled. We're going to the National Yo-Yo Museum, Mrs. McDonald exclaimed. It's only about 2 hours from here. We're driving 2 hours out of our way to look at some yo-yos, Coke asked, slapping himself on the forehead. Not just some yo-yos, hundreds of yo-yos. And there is actually a yo-yo museum in California, and they do celebrate National Yo-Yo Day, which is on June 6th. They have a website that you can look up. If you Google National Yo-Yo Museum, you can see a whole bunch of different yo-yos, and there's the world's largest yo-yo is there too. Not just some yo-yos, hundreds of yo-yos. Glow-in-the-dark yo-yos, see-through yo-yos, Flintstone yo-yos, and Star Wars yo-yos. The National Yo-Yo Museum has everything from antique 1920s yo-yos to today's metal alloy yo-yos with centrifugal clutch, transaxle, whatever that is. Mrs. McDonald gasped as the family walked inside. The Bird in Hand, an educational toy store in Chico, California, where the National Yo Yo Museum is located. This was kind of her place. Feast your eyes, kids, Mrs. McDonald said, pulling out her camera to document the majesty of it all. You're standing in front of the world's largest wooden yo yo. It was a monster of a thing, 256 pounds. The string unrolled was 75 feet long. A little plaque on the floor that said Big Yo was only used a few times. Once it was dropped off a crane over San Francisco Bay. The world's largest pest dispenser is bigger, Coke said, unimpressed. He knew all about yo yos, of course, having once seen an article about them when he was bagging up the newspapers for recycling. He told the family that the yo yo was invented in China and the Greeks had them way back in 500 BCE. Fascinating, Dr. McDonald said sarcastically. I hope this museum doesn't get any government funding. This is real history, Dad, Cole told his father. You know, legend has it that Filipino hunters would hide in trees and hunt animals by bonking them on their heads with yo yos from above. And during the French Revolution, people who were about to be guillotined would ease their tension by playing with yo yos. I know that if they were about to chop off my head, Dr. McDonald replied, I would want to use that time to play with a toy on a string. The kids watched videos of people doing insane yo yo tricks. There was some sample yo yos on display, and Coke and Pep tried to do the tricks with limited success. After a short time, the kids had enough yo yoing. They went out to the parking lot for something to do while Mrs. McDonald conducted her yo yo research for Amazing But True. Their dad had left the RV door unlocked, as usual, so Coke went in and grabbed the frisbee that Bones had given them. He held it out to Pep. I don't want to, Pep told her brother. I don't know how. In a few days, you're going to be 13 years old, Cole told his sister. It's about time you learned to throw a frisbee. It's a life skill that everybody should have. He handed her the disc, backed up 10 yards, and urged her to give it a try. She flung it wildly, of course, curving it off to the side and almost hitting a parked car. Hold it level, Coke instructed as he ran off to retrieve the frisbee. Don't just use your arm, put your whole body into it and snap your wrist like this. He made a perfect return toss, which Pep dropped. One more time, he encouraged her. Pep tried to do as her brother said and proceeded to fling the frisbee high into the grove of trees next to the parking lot. You were totally pathetic. You know that? Coke told his sister. Come on, help me find it. They ran into the woods. Mistake, right? Who runs into the woods when they're already being chased down? And started poking around. A white frisbee should not be hard to find in a grove of green trees, but it wasn't there, or at least it wasn't within sight. It's got to be here, Pep said. I saw it go into the trees. You owe me $10 to get a new one, Coke told her. I do not, she replied. You didn't pay for this frisbee. Bones gave it to you. At the moment, the twins walked around a thick maple tree. There was a rustling noise from above, and then suddenly everything went dark. Something had fallen on their heads. What the? It was a large plastic tarp, the kind that people put under their tent when they go camping. Somebody grabbed them and wrapped two big arms around the tarp to prevent them from getting away. Shh! Quiet, a man's voice warned. Help! Pep tried to yell, but the sound was muffled by the tarp over her face. Keep your mouth shut and you won't be hurt, the man barked. The twins struggled for a few seconds, but soon it became obvious that it was hopeless, and they stopped fighting. That's when their assailant pulled the tarp over their heads and revealed himself. It was Bones. The McDonald twin gasped. Is this what you're looking for? A voice said. The twins gasped a second time when they saw who was standing behind Bones with the frisbee in her hand. It was Maya, the woman in the red who saved their lives when they were being chased on the cliff by the men in golf carts. You're alive? Pep asked, her eyes wide with wonder. We thought you died when the building exploded, Cope told Bones. I was down in the basement, Bones said. All I got was a flesh wound. Aren't all wounds flesh wounds? Coke asked. What else would you wound besides flesh? We thought that dart killed you, Maya, Pep said, hugging her. We thought you died in our arms. The poison wore off in a few minutes, Maya informed them. I was fine. I returned your backpacks to school for you. Pep thought back and remembered what had happened at the cliff moments after Maya collapsed. Suddenly, she turned around and punched her brother in the stomach. Ugh, Coke exclaimed. Are you crazy? What did you do that for? Because you pushed me off the cliff, his sister yelled. I was trying to save your life, Coke yelled back at her. Even if they hit me with one of those dart things, I would have survived, Pep yelled again. Maya survived. You didn't have to push me. We didn't have to go over that cliff. Okay, okay. I'm sorry, Coke said, rubbing his sore stomach. How was I supposed to know that? She looked pretty dead to me. I had to make a snap decision. Give me a break. Bones stepped between the angry twins. You did the right thing pushing your sister off the cliff, he told Coke. If you two had been captured up there, you would not be alive today. I'm quite sure of that. Look, we don't have time for peasantries, Maya interrupted. I'm sure your parents are wondering where you are. We have important information for you. Is this about a house on a rock? What? Bones replied. What house on a rock? Didn't you put an envelope under my pillow last night with a coded message about meeting you in a house on a rock? Coke asked. No, Bones replied. You must be confusing me with the tooth fairy. Listen carefully, Maya said. We found something out that is crucial to your survival. Some of the people who were involved in the Genius Files have abandoned our cause and now actively oppose us and the program that Dr. Warsaw created. Your health teacher, Mrs. Higgins, is one of them. There are others. Those Boulder dudes, Pep said. Right, said Maya. We don't know why these people are trying to kill you, but we're going to find out. How about finding out fast? Coke said, before they actually do kill us. We're trying our hardest, Bones told him. In the meantime, we have your first mission. We intercepted a text message late last night. There's going to be a terrorist attack. Where? Coke asked. In the United States, Maya said. Can you be more vague? Coke asked. It'll be at the site of the largest ball of twine in the world, said Maya. We're going there, Pep exclaimed. Our mother has this weird website called Amazing But True, and we know, said Bones. How do you know? Asked Coke. You'd be surprised at how much we know, Maya replied. But that's crazy, Pep said. Who would attack the largest ball of twine in the world? The largest cat in the world? Suggested Coke. I didn't say they're necessarily going to attack the ball of twine, Bones told them. All we know is there will be an attack at the site of the ball of twine. What are they going to do? Coke asked. We don't know, Bones said. When are they going to do it? Coke asked. We don't know that either, Bones said. How come you know so much about us? Pep asked, but when you don't know anything about them? We know they're trying to kill you, Maya said, and they won't stop until they're successful or until we kill them. So, what are our instructions? Coke asked. Simple. Stop the attack, Bones replied. Why can't you stop the attack? Pep asked. We're trying to get there also, Maya said. But there are other Genius File children we're monitoring. We can't be everywhere at all times. How are we supposed to stop the attack? Pep asked. All we know is where it will be. We don't know when. We don't know how. I'm sure you'll think of something, Bones interrupted her. You're geniuses, right? That's why you were chosen. We must leave, Maya said. Not a word of this to anyone. Chapter 13, The Second Cipher. Where were you kids? Dr. McDonald asked anxiously when the twins came running back to the RV in the parking lot. Your mother and I have been looking all over for you. Pep turned to her brother. We were playing frisbee, he exclaimed. Pep chucked it in the woods and we had to go look for it. She totally can't throw. You can't catch, his sister complained. Can too, can not. Dr. McDonald preferred to avoid arguments, especially the can too, can not variety. He opened his road atlas and flipped to the map of Nevada. Well, thank goodness you're safe, Mrs. McDonald told the twins, reaching for her purse. 5 more minutes and we are going to call the police. Here, I bought you each a souvenir. Let me guess, Coke said. Yo-yos? How did you know? Mrs. McDonald asked. I'm a genius. Mrs. McDonald took 2 new yo-yos out of her purse, a red one for Coke and a blue one for Pep. Awesome, Coke said. Want to see me walk the dog? Walking the dog is a yo-yo trick. Maybe later, Mrs. McDonald replied. Let's blow this pop stand, Pep said. I wish you wouldn't buy me this stuff. You're wasting your hard-earned money. Yeah, money doesn't grow on trees, Mom, Coke said, as he tried to duplicate a yo-yo trick he had seen in the video. But you've got to bring home souvenirs, Mrs. McDonald told them. That's part of the fun part of traveling. She passed around sandwiches she made while the twins were in the woods. Dr. McDonald started the RV and pulled out of the parking lot. After driving a little Honda for years, He wasn't used to such a big vehicle, and he backed out carefully. As he pulled onto Route 70 south, he relaxed a bit and began humming the old Willie Nelson song. On the road again. It wasn't long before they had merged back onto I 80 heading east. I was looking at the map, Dr. McDonald told the family after they had been on the road for a while. Lake Tahoe is only about an hour from here. That might be a good place for us to stop for the night. Maybe we can even stay for a day or two. We could go swimming or kayaking, have some fun. Lake Tahoe is beautiful. No, Pep shouted. We want to go see the largest ball of twine in the world, shouted Coke. Yeah, Pep added. Lakes are a big bore. Mrs. McDonald turned around in the front seat. Wait a minute, she said. Yesterday, everybody was making fun of me for wanting to go see the largest ball of twine in the world. And now you're all anxious to get there? What's going on? Yeah, Dr. McDonald said. Why are you suddenly so interested in that silly ball of twine? As usual, Pep looked to Coke for the answer. She wasn't about to tell her parents that there would be some sort of attack at the ball of twine and they had to stop it. Coke thought fast. We're twins, he announced, and twine is twin with an E at the end, so we want to see it. That's ridiculous, Dr. McDonald sputtered. So instead of swimming and kayaking on a beautiful lake, you want to go look at a ball of twine because it has an E in it? Yes, the twins agreed. You wouldn't understand, Pep said. You're not a twin. Well, I'm pleased to see you kids are getting into the spirit of the trip, Mrs. McDonald said. The Twin Falls is in Cawker City, Kansas. That's when we're going. That's where we want to go, Coke declared. We hate swimming and kayaking. Since when? His father asked. You used to love swimming and kayaking when you were little. Please, 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 begged Pep. Dr. McDonald could not resist a child with puppy dog eyes, especially when it was his own. He sighed when the exit for Lake Tahoe appeared on the side of the road, and he drove right by it. Come back for some more.